Hey guys, it's December 2022. It is -1 outside in the UK and I'm not able to go flying today. So I thought what a great opportunity to start doing the winter checks on all the models. So go over all the model in lots of details, check everything's all okay and get it ready for the next season. So that's what we're going to do today. So this time around we're going to take a look at the Extreme Flight Laser and like I said, just do all the pre-winter checks, all the pre-season checks, check it over. It's been flying quite a lot this year. This model is about 5 years old and it's had a lot of flights. I mean this year I'd say easily over 100 flights this year. So it needs checking over. I do check throughout the season as well, but throughout the winter I'll do extra checks with it. I will take all the cowling off and check all the motors okay, check all the bolts there and to get a lot more detail. So let's do that now and make a start. So let's take the canopy off and grab a look inside. So not a great deal to see, but if I take you through it and start off with, we're using Savox SV1270 servos all round with digital servos. So when it comes to the servos, I'm going to be checking all the bolts to make sure they're screwed down to the plate. I'm going to be checking the closed loop here to make sure that's connected to the arm, make sure the arm itself is tight and the screw underneath is also tight on there. So I'll be doing that for every servo on the model. Receiver, always checking the wires are actually okay. Moving forward, we've got a battery tray here, which we'll come back to, switch on the side, and the receiver pack's underneath, but that's kind of out of the model, so I take it out of the model every time I finish flying. So not too much checking here, so let's go ahead and get that done. So each one of those servo screws had about 1/8 of a turn on it. They have worked their way loose very slightly. So head's fine. So very useful tool, just a small hex spanner, 4 different sizes on it, nice and small so I can get it up underneath the servo, but that's all looking good. It does feel like the closed loop wants tightening slightly, a little bit of slack there, so I'll take these off later, spin these up on the adjusters and then make that a little bit tighter. So come back to that part. So this model's got a removable battery tray, takes either 12S or 10S in it. I tend to fly with 10S 4250s, but I have flown in it with 12S 5000s before. A bit more power than the 12S, but a bit more weight. So just going to pull this out. And check underneath. So these are the posts which hold the tray. It's just physically checking both of those. Let's move the Y lead out of the way. They're all okay. The receiver pack sits in here. Just Jen's pack. It's currently out of the model. I take it out of the model to charge it after every flying session. So just checking where that goes. It's all okay. No visible cracks. Strap's okay. That's pretty good. Switch is on the side, mounted. I know that's already tight. There's my keeper for the battery, for the main RX battery, which is in place as well. Now something you can't see from your side is on the receiver here. I've got a Castle Link adapter, which sends the telemetry back to the transmitter. Now I haven't got on with that since the day it's been in the model, and that's really because sometimes you just get different information. So I've got it all switched off on the transmitter, so there's no point in having it in line. So I'm going to take this opportunity to take this out right now and get a shot of it. Be interesting to hear if any of you are actually using them with success. Now this is going to be fiddly because all my wires are pretty tight. My receiver's stuck down. So let's do it the hard way. There it is. Okay, so I've started at the wrong end. Let's move that out of the way. I've got 1, 2 and 4 out at the moment. Let's put this back in. So 1 and 2, leave 4 out. Take 5 out, 6 out, and 7 out. Put 4 back in. Okay, so back to removing this castle link. So this was connected into the S-Bus to be able to S-Bus 2 to be able to use the telemetry off of the throttle. So what we need to do is just unplug it from the throttle cable. That's all it is. Hopefully you can see that. Just see the castle link underneath there. So I'm not getting on with it, so that's coming out. Put it to one side. And then reconnect the throttle back into 3, which is what is the channel I've got mapped and the function I've got mapped. There you go, it's actually 5, 6, 7 that I was using. I'm not using the last one on 8 there. So they're all in, that's all corrected. I will need to do a full check on this. Obviously when they get the transmitter, get the battery back in, just make sure everything's working as expected. But I'll do that right at the end of this video. So this receiver is actually sitting up on a foam block here, so it's not being mounted directly to the carbon. Let's give it a little bit of play, and the aerials are coming out to the front. Okay, let's take off the cowling. Okay, so just loosen up these 2 support screws. So you've got 2 here to hold it, and then 1 up underneath, but of course I need to take off the prop and the spinner as well. So I'm just going to loosen these, and then we'll go around to the front. So this is a rather nice Extreme Flight pre-painted spinner, which matches the scheme for this model. Actually, a buddy of mine brought me this. I was extremely grateful for it. I think it really finishes off exceptionally well. To make sure you check those out. Let's undo all these bolts. You see, hopefully you can see each bolt has a tiny plastic washer. And there she is. Super lightweight, carbon fibre, all sprayed in. So just for reference, I'm flying a Exor 2110 on here. I'm going to be changing this prop out. I mean, this prop does want to clean. It's got lots of debris on the front of it from flies, but I'm going to put a black prop on here just for the reason it looks better on the model. So let's get this bolt off. It's pretty tight on there. And there she comes. So it just wants to clean, and I'll use that as a spare prop for next season. Take the spinner back plate off. Now it's marked, so I know where the top of the spinner goes. We'll put it back together. Then we get on with removing the canopy as well from the bolts underneath. Sorry, I mean cowling, not canopy, before anybody corrects me. I've had enough coffee today. Someone's out. Second one. Here comes the last one. There we go. So now let's just come straight off. There we are. So running up front, we've got the X-Power 35cc motor. Been a really good motor. This is 75 inch. Sometimes people now put 40s in these, the 40cc equivalent, but I get loads of performance on this, especially if I run with the 12S. And hopefully you can see on the cowling here, I've just got some baffles that I've put in, which is made up of a balsa, and I've cut out the star at the bottom just to let the air flow back out of the cowling. But this all wants a bit of a clean because it's all very grubby. So let's go on with checking the motor out. So with the motor, we have several sets of bolts to check. We have the main ones for the standoffs at the front, which are nice and easy to get to. We have bolts at the back, which hold the motor to the plate. And then we have an access panel here, which allows us to check the back of the standoffs as well. So 4, 8, 12 sets of, well, 12 individual bolts there to check over, and also just general check on the motor to make sure it's all okay. But I'm pretty sure it is, because it's been flying absolutely fine. We've got our connectors here for the ESC, which we may as well check while we're here. And actually, I might just put some cable management around these, just so they're not quite so much play in them. So let's crack on and check that now. As expected, they're all absolutely fine. I do use Loctite on those bolts just to make sure they don't go anywhere. But again, even though I use Loctite, it is worth checking. Now I'll do the ones at the back. A little bit harder to get to. Absolutely no movement in them at all, so they're all a-okay. So just do this wires and then we'll go around the back. And while we're there, just check that they're all in, and they are. There's still a little bit of movement there, but at least they're not flapping around. There we go. A little bit short. That's better. Okay. So I'm not sure if you can see in there, it's quite difficult to get the camera that close. But you can see the back bolts, 1, 2, and there's obviously 2 the other side for the 4 standoffs for the motor. So I'm literally just going to take a moment to get in there and make sure they're okay. Then we'll put the hatch back on, we'll spin it back over, and we'll check the ESC. So out of all those bolts that we've just checked, I managed to get a tiny movement on this one down here. I'm not going to take it out. I could take it out and re-Loctite it, but I think it's probably just squeezed up a little bit more. I think it's going to be absolutely fine. So let's get the hatch back on and we'll turn her over. Right, so quick flip over while the cowling's off. Easy does it. And there we go. So in this model I'm using the Castle Edge, or the Castle Phoenix Edge HV 120 ESC, which you can see can take up to 12S lipos on a 50 volt max. Do fly on 12S, but mainly 10S at the moment. It's a big old unit. It's been working absolutely fine in that position, so I know cooling's fine from the baffles I've got at the front, and then air going back out through the star. So what I'm going to do is just check these 4 tiny screws that hold it in place.
there we go, they didn't move at all. Visual check of wiring underneath, all looking okay. Main two battery wires, and obviously the throttle wire going down there. Everything else looks okay here. So I think what we'll do is we will leave it as it is for a moment. So I want to do some checks on the undercarriage, and then we'll put the cowling back on afterwards. Okay, so while we're here, we'll just check these nuts that hold the carbon undercarriage down, and also these tiny hex bolts here which hold these skirts on. I believe that's what they're called, skirts, but they're glued as well, but they have this tiny bolt in there. So just another quick check there, and then we'll go on to the wheel spats, which you can't quite see at the moment, but let's cover this off first. So a tiny fraction on each one of these nuts. And they're actually very slightly loose as well. Worth doing. So while the model's upside down, what we'll do is just start again. While the model's upside down, we will just check out the undercarriage here. Now this has been off recently. Both spats have been off recently, because if you notice, these are actually the wrong colour. Normally these match the actual model itself, but over the last 5 years these have slowly cracked. I fly a lot of grass, which is why it's so much mud on the model at the moment. So a friend of mine fixed them all up, and I just resprayed them in quickly, just getting back on for the end of the season. I've got a new set on order from Extreme Flight, which will hopefully arrive in January, so anytime soon. So these should all be okay, but we'll just do a quick check on each side, and then we'll do the clean right at the very end after all the checks are done. Okay, so first of all, the inner collet, that's okay. Just about gets the outer one here, also okay. Then finally the nut, absolutely fine. And there's one more, slightly rusty, which I'm hoping is this one, and that's fine too. A little bit of play there, but I think that's acceptable. Again, clean up later. Okay, so that's the easy bits done. Right, let's put these bits back together. There we go, cowling on. Back plate, arrow up. And then let's swap props to the black one. Same size, just about to see it, 2110, but I think it just looks a little bit better. There we go. Washer and locking nut again. Just going to nick this tight, just to check the spin alignment first. Matching arrow. Just checking the prop gap. All looks okay. Let's get it on tight. And of course it's got a locking nut into it, which sits inside the other nut. Let's get that on. Again, nick that tight as well. Don't put too much force on these. And finally, should be able to get that spinner back on. Just going to get these lined up first, I'll tighten them afterwards. So even the screws are colour coded to match the paintwork. Nice touch from Extreme Flight. just finger tight to make sure they align. Takes a bit of time putting this spinner on, but I think it's well worth it for the look. Super lightweight as well. Last bolt. And now just tighten them up. I could have put Loctite on there, but to be honest with you, I never have done on this one. There's not enough vibration. They've got those nice nylon washers there. And I've never lost a bolt out of this spinner. That should be last one. Okay. Yeah, good. We're good. There we go. Let me know, guys, in the comments whether you prefer this prop or the one that was on there previously. Just interested to know. Okay, guys. So to recap, we've done all the engine. The motor rather, the ESC, we've done the undercarriage, we've put the prop and spinner back on, we've done the rudder servo, we've made adjustments to the receiver, had a visual check inside here as well. So we really haven't done anything behind the aircraft and on the tail. So let's turn around and do that now. So that was easier said than done in my tiny workshop. So what we're going to do really now is check the 2 rear servos on this model. I think there's 2, no, one rear servo on this model because the rudder's up front, and we want to just check all the control surfaces are okay, not coming loose. We want to check the tail wheel as well, and the other end of the closed loop and the rods. So let's turn her over so we can do that. So here we go. So firstly, the model, like I said, is super dirty because I've been flying off grass. So I'll do that right at the very end. See, it's all grubby here. I've just noticed the tail wheel. The tail wheel has definitely seen better days there. So I'll be ordering a replacement because occasionally I fly it off of tarmac, and it's really the tarmac that scrubbed this away over the years. This is the original Extreme Flight tail wheel that's never been changed. So it's not bad really after almost 5 years. So we've got the rudder to check, we've got the hinges to check on all these as well, just by doing a pull test. I have also noticed a small dent, so if you can see that, spin around very slightly. There's a small transportation dent here, so it's actually rolled in my car and hit something. So I'll be putting a little bit of glue on that and just touching that in, maybe a little bit of covering as well to fix that up. But let's do the easy stuff first, then I'll do all the more cosmetic stuff like the cleaning and the covering afterwards. Nice and tight. It's okay. Let's do the tail wheel screws over here. Tight. It's tight. Head's not too clever on that one. That's better. Another on there, that's fine. There's no screw in there, but I believe it is the other side. Now, is that right? Let's just check this. Yeah, there is one on the other side. I can't remember if there's one on both, but as long as the other one's holding it, that'd be absolutely fine for what it does. So a quick check on the hinges. Just put it very slightly. That's okay. Flip around and we'll do the other one. I've noticed these bolts have got ever so slightly corroded. Again, that's from flying on wet days with wet grass around. So we'll just brush those up when we clean the model, or when I clean the model rather, just to take that off. It just looks nasty. Again, part of the age of the model. I can't get this underneath, so just use a pair of pliers on there. And that's fine as well. So let's finish off quick visual check on the hinges. That's okay, and again on the rudder. I've done that already before I turned it over, but that's okay. And we'll just, don't know if you can just see it, if I adjust this down, and we'll just point out that there is a tiny screw in there, and it is tight, so that's all okay as well. Then of course we have the other end for the elevator servo here. So checking the servo, fraction loose there on the first and second. Third's okay. Fourth one looks loose, very slightly. Let's check the head. Head's okay. And these are the Extreme Flight servo heads. They've also got an Allen key here's bolt to check, and that one's okay as well. So that just leaves this last one. And we'll use those pliers again. Slightly awkward to do with the camera in the way. And that's very, very tight. So I'm happy that those servos are okay. I'm happy the control surfaces are okay here as well. I'm not happy that it's so dirty. I know I keep going on about that, but I like my models clean. But I think for the fuselage, that's about it. So what I'm going to do now is spin this back around, put it away, and we'll go on and get both the wing panels out. Okay guys, so onto the left wing panel for the laser. As you can see, yeah, it's still a bit grubby. It will get cleaned up, and I will run the iron over to get rid of some of these wrinkles. But that's not bad really, since it's not been touched all season. So really, I just want to do the same thing. I want to check the servo out, make sure that's all okay, all in tight. Have a quick visual check on the hinges, make sure they're not pulling, and that's probably about it. Check the lead. That'll be about it. Let's go on and do that now. That one was loose. This is why we check them, guys. Both those servo screws are loose. The 3 out of the 4 servo screws are slightly loose there. Worth checking the whole model just for that. Servo head, slightly loose as well. That's okay, so 3 screws loose. Slightly embarrassing, but that's why we do these checks. So a little bit of corrosion on these bolts as well, which I'll clean up. That was all good. And that's good as well. So just the 1, 2, 3 screws and the head slightly loose. Quite an angle on this, which I don't particularly like, but it does strain up with full deflection. So visual check on the hinges. Just pulling on the wing, pulling on the aileron. Appears to be okay as well. It's got an extension lead on the wire there, but I've got, I don't know if you can see it, but just off camera. There we go. Bit of heat shrink around it, so that's okay. And that's it. Just needs a clean. Let's do the next one. Okay, same process for the second wing. Flip her over and check the servo again. So okay, tiny bit of corrosion there where the wings got wet from spray. That's tight as well. Let's check these servo screws. Head's loose as well, look. It is worrying. There's both wing servos, heads loose. And slightly on the fixing servos as well. So they've definitely worked themselves loose. The servo, that would be a nightmare if they came loose. But luckily, say we have got these. Now Extreme Flight, and they do also have a fixing here, which is tight. So I don't think that would actually come off, because you normally have to loosen this bolt out first, take the head off, then take it all off together. But for the sake of 2 seconds to check it, it's worth checking. And then again, just on the hinges, just by giving it a little pull. They appear to be okay. One's all tight. So that's it. That's it for the wings. Okay, so that's about it for the check over on the laser. I've got some bits to do. So just summarise that, we found out that both wing servos had 3 loose screws in each of them, and the servo head screw was loose itself. We've got a tail wheel that needs replacing because it's just worn down from flying off of a tarmac, which is fair enough, it's not been changed in 5 years. And then we've got a tiny dent at the bottom of the rudder just from transportation damage. And I think that was it. Oh, and of course the model needs a very good clean. So I'm going to crack on with that now, and I'll see you next time.